Good afternoon. Welcome back to InnoTrans here in Berlin. We're on the STraffic stand with Jeremy. Just give us an introduction, Jeremy, to STraffic, first of all, for people in the industry who may not be familiar with the brand name.
STraffic is a major player in Korea in the signaling industry. It was originally spun off from Samsung when Samsung divested its transportation interests in 2013, and it has spent its time growing internationally and also in Korea with a series of innovative projects.
What do you think the rest of the rail market can learn from some of these experiences of innovation in Korea?
Korea itself, as you know, is one of the major leaders in communication. You know it from Samsung and the telephones particularly.
Yeah.
But in terms of applying all these things to railway, we're also very much in the lead. There are projects which have been going on and have now come to fruition in Korea, which are using technologies which are only beginning to show their faces here in Europe. I'd like to touch on one, if I may, and that is with the use of 4G LTE-R communication systems to provide not only train control or train information, but also to do surveillance of problems in the wagons, and also to give you an emergency response, particularly on driverless trains, which we're all going towards, where you will need somebody at the end of a phone line or at the end of a video call once something goes wrong, for example, if a passenger has a stroke.
Yeah. And this has got relevance for programs like FRMCS that we're talking a lot about in Europe at the moment and internationally. And you're suggesting that there are some lessons that perhaps could be learnt from the Korean experience of using high-tech telecoms to support some of these digitalization programs.
Very much so. I think there's probably two things which we can learn. The first one is that the FRMCS, as it is foreseen here in Europe, is going for 5G. But in Korea, it's 4G. LTE-R is based on 4G. And you can do everything that you need without having to invest in the huge infrastructure. And let's face it, when 5G comes around, the hardware will be there. But at the moment, you can do everything you need without it. The other one is, of course, the way in which these things are done on a cooperative basis between all the parts of the railway industry. Of course, it's one country. It's a bit easier, if you like, in this way. But they have absorbed the ETS systems and built the Korean version. They have invented now the CBTC systems. This is something which we are now presenting here on the stand, which we call STKMX.
Right.
And this is a completely driverless CBTC system using 4G communication technology.
And you've had obviously there's an ecosystem of research and development, isn't there, in Korea? I mean, further down in this hall, we've got KRRI, the Research Institute, and I think you're suggesting that there's been real examples of commercializing innovation, which again is perhaps something that the rest of the world could learn.
Absolutely. KRRI are a very leading and innovative group, which provide us with a lot of interesting developments, but you've got to bring them to market as well. And we have done that as well with a lot of the things which we have been applying here. A lot is in-house, but we also bring technologies from outside to market. We have done this recently, for example, with our vertical passenger screen door. You will have heard, particularly here as a keynote at InnoTrans 2024, that the train that goes anywhere in Europe is very much on the cards. But this means that any station platform can have any train.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can have passenger protection or even stopping passengers just crossing the tracks, which of course gives you huge punctuality problems. Simply by putting passenger screen doors on, because they will never align. And the vertical passenger screen door, which opens an 8-meter gap, allows you to bring almost any train into a platform and be sure that the passengers will be able to exchange without any problems.
And that's a very tangible example of an innovation that's been rolled out in Korea and is just starting to be looked at in other markets. And just turning to the international ambitions of STraffic, do you have any sort of particular target markets? I know you've got some offices outside of Korea. Are there any particular regions or segments of the industry that you're going to be targeting on the back of InnoTrans over the next couple of years?
Certainly. Here in Europe, where we have a small office in Paris, we expect to be working with regional train companies and with the larger ones as well, in order to be able to build up the standard small communication system, for example, for somebody who needs it for a maintenance link, which at the moment is done on what is pretty much an obsolete system.
Sure.
or for the vertical passenger screen door for those mixed traffic stations which are going to need it as about the only solution which will work. It has a full safety case as well, and this fits in with what we call our 3 areas, which are being smart, being speedy, and being safe. Beyond this, we already have offices in the United States. They are working mainly with fare gates, with Washington Metro, with Bay Area Rapid Transit and so forth. And of course, we're expanding very much in Southeast Asia. This is something which has been our strategy now since about 2019.
So that basically there's a whole world of expansion to go for, and a lot of experience from the Korean market that you feel you can offer to rail operators and metro operators around the world.
I believe so. I would say that there's one particular thing which we can also master, and that is the interaction with the passenger. It has only been recently the case that the operators here get the impression that what we are doing is borrowing time from the customer and he's sitting on the train, and therefore we ought to be able to give them the opportunity to be productive or to enjoy themselves. And this is something which, as you know, in Korea, being a heavily populated country, is a major question. Everything has to go smoothly for the customer. Everything has to go quickly. And these are all the impacts, not just as a technology problem, which you might have to solve, but one which has real consequences, which we are able to bring straight into the way we think.
So that's in terms of things like connectivity for onboard. You know, if you want to stream content on your device, you want to do work on the train, you want to have a better level of communication between the wayside and the onboard. Those are all things that you think you can help solve some of those challenges for other operators.
Very much so. We have already done this in Korea.
Yeah.
So why not elsewhere?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you. That's a really interesting summary, and thank you for giving us some of those insights from a really fascinating railway market in South Korea. Thank you, Jeremy from STraffic, for speaking to us today. Thank you very much. Thank you.